Gloria St. Germain is a very busy woman. She's the ARCT founder and CEO of Ultimate Music Theory Limited, a TEDx speaker and international best-selling author of over 60 books. She teach music, change lives, and the Power of Why Musician series. She's the host of the Ultimate Music Teachers podcast, teacher's business coach, and creator of UMTC Elite Educator Program. And after talking to her for about 5 minutes, this woman has some incredible stories and wonderful advice. So I'm going to turn this over to her.
Okay, so I'd love it if all of you could grab a piece of paper and a pen. I want to give you some good takeaways today. So, or if you like to type your notes, however you'd like to. First of all, I want to say a huge thank you. It is such an honor to be here and to be chatting with all of you lovely writers. And I would also love it if you would share in the chat the title of one of your books. Just I'm curious, and we're going to be doing some deep dives today. So it's an honor to be here with the SouthWest Writers Association, and I'm super excited. Again, my name is Gloria St. Germain. I'm an author and educator, a TEDx speaker, founder of Ultimate Music Theory. And yes, I've written over 60 books, and there was many sleepless nights for those of you writers. You know what I'm talking about, and 5 international best-selling books. And I'm going to share with you how you too can become an international bestseller. That was The Power of Why Musicians. And my latest book is called Teach Music, Change Lives. You can learn more about that at teachmusicchangelivescom. I also run a publishing company. My publishing company is called Gloryland Publishing. I don't know about you, but when I wrote my first 3 books, publishers said, "Go away, Glory, come back when you write some, sell some books." And so it was very discouraging, having a lot of doors slammed in my face. And I finally went, you know what, I'm just going to crawl through the window. And I did. And then I became a publisher. So I'm glad that I did, because royalties are now publishing as well as the author royalties. And, it's my company. So it definitely works. And I love having opportunity to share some insights with you on how you can go from pages to profits. I've done millions of dollars in my business, both in writing books and creating courses. And I'm going to share all of that with you so you can create millions of dollars in your business, because if I can do it, anybody can do it as an author and as an entrepreneur. So we're going to dive in. Your book is not the end. Your book is the beginning. And I really want to make that statement, because sometimes we go, oh, well, I've written a book, now what? So today we're going to talk about something really magical and practical. And that is how to take your book. You've poured your heart and soul into this, and all the words that you've lived in your mind and your soul. And some of you are, writing about fiction, some are nonfiction, whatever it might be. How do you turn them into real value and real income and real impact? Because it's not just about being an author, but we're also entrepreneurs, right? And we want to really showcase that. Because writing a book is actually, I think it's an act of love. We're so passionate about our topics and sharing that. But what about monetizing your book? So that is a strategic act of influence, and you deserve both. And here's why this matters, because, and why monetization matters. When I wrote Teach Music, Change Lives, I didn't just want a book on a shelf. I wanted to create a movement and a way to empower, in my case, music teachers to grow thriving businesses, to change lives, reshape the future of music education. And here's the truth. Your book that you've written or are currently writing is the foundation for your purpose, right? But it also can become profitable, but only when you build the paths outward from it. So you've written your book, and it's like, okay, well, now what? So I want to give you some really good concepts that I hope will serve you. Words alone don't pay the bills. We all know that. But strategic ecosystems built around your book really can. And today I'm going to share 3 most powerful and proven strategies so you can do that. Because books create income, but it doesn't just end there. We need the ecosystems to do so. And how can we go from writing our book to creating a business that's profitable and will serve us year after year after year? So raise your hand if you're with me, you're still awake and you're ready to go. I see some hands waving. Okay, cool. All right. First, I want to tell you a quick story. When I wrote my book, Teach Music, Change Lives, I thought, well, maybe a few teachers would purchase it, you know. But then I thought, what if I designed a course around it? And that simple shift about building a back end strategy really changed everything because that book became a curriculum framework. It became an online course. It became a community, a recurring revenue stream that is evergreen. Evergreen means that you just keep making money without doing anything else, which is a fun thing to do. And also a platform for media and speaking. And also while building a list of clients. And when you want to build a list of clients, just raise your hand if you have an email system where you're collecting data from your clients. Any of you, or just give me a little yes in the chat. If you're not on screen, then I can't see you. So I'm curious, are you collecting emails? Any of you or no one? You just sell books, the end? Well, then let's really think about this because this is going to make you not only make you a lot of money, but it's going to help you when you're launching your second book and your third book and your fifth book and the rest of it, right? You want to be building a list of clients. And for me, I collect names, I collect email addresses and phone numbers. And I do that with a free downloadable workbook after clients purchase the Teach Music, Change Lives book. So whether they're purchasing the book on Amazon, whether they're purchasing the books on KDP, if they're going to local retailers, wherever it might be, I have a free workbook that goes with my book, and you can all do the same. And it just makes it for more fun. So even if you were writing a children's book, how fun would it be to get a free coloring book after you purchase this workbook, right? So I'm going to be sharing some ideas with you. And now you've got their email address and their name, and then you can, you know, even ask them when is your birthday, and you can send them a special little something for their birthday. Because your words are the profit engine, right? So let's unpack this, how that happened, and how you can do the same thing. So here are 3 writers' success strategies. And we're going to start off with number 1. So the first strategy, number 1, is create a course. Yes, turn your book into a course. And the first big way to monetize your book is to build a course that lives on the back end of your book. So if you purchase my book, Teach Music, Change Lives.com, that's where you can go and get the information. You're going to see a number of things I'm going to share with you today. So the first thing is that your book tells a story. It's a story, or it teaches concepts. It moves you somehow, whether it's helping you lose weight, whether it's teaching you about how cool it is to have a pet, whether it's a concept such as mine, which is education, you know, teaching teachers how to grow a 6-figure business. Whatever your book is, it doesn't matter what it is, you can create a course that correlates to the book. Anything from children's book, fiction book, whatever it might be. Your book tells your story, or it teaches concepts, and your course teaches how to apply your book's message. Okay, so give me a little yes in the chat if that's making sense with you. I'm looking forward to seeing your notes here. So here's why this works. Okay, Rose says, yep. Okay, thanks, Rose. Okay, so this is why it works. Courses turn readers into students. Courses command higher price points, right? You might sell your books. I'm curious to what you sell your book for, usually between, you know, $20 to $30 to $40, right? Depending on how many pages are in your book. But definitely you want to price your book according to, and I'm going to go deeper into this, but you want to make sure that you're pricing your book so that you are profitable even when you're selling into retail stores. So that's another little point that I want to chat with you about. So, and also when you have a course, you can command a higher price for what you have because you've deepened transformation. And that also builds revenue into your business. So if you haven't thought about that before, it's important. So I want to give you an example. My book is called Teach Music, Change Lives. I created a program and a course that's called Music, Money, and Momentum. And this course is priced at $397 US. This is built directly from the book, Teach Music, Change Lives. There's no extra content creation required. It is structured so that as you read the 12 chapters, you're going through 12 exercises of what can you do. And in my case, it's to build a business. So it's structured application of your book's core lesson and implementation of these strategies. So I'm just going to use, a book title from someone here. I heard someone speaking about, she's just launched a book on KDP. I believe it was about animals, I think dogs or cats or something like that. So if you were doing that, writing a book about animals, you might want to do your freebie would be a coloring book. They have to enter in their name, their email, and then they get a free little coloring book that goes with it. Your course may be directed towards young children, but it would be presented by parents going through the course. And it might be lessons about how to be kind, right? How to treat people with respect, just as you would nurture your dog or things like that. So I'm just, making something up here, but everyone in this room as a writer needs to know the multiple levels of revenue that you can build. So I'm going to backtrack a little bit. Number one, when you're pricing your book, don't be the cheapest one on the market. That's not how you can become profitable. You want to make sure that you're thinking, if you're pricing your book, I'll just use, $40 as an example. If you price your book at $40 and know that you're going to want to be in retail stores, retailers primarily take 60%. So I'll use $10 as an example. So if your book is $10, you're going to sell it to a retailer. They get 60% off at $4. But what's the cost of printing and how are you still being profitable? So you want to think about these elements. So myself as an author, I am in retail stores across Canada and across the US. I sell to Music and Arts, Guitar Center in Canada, it's Long and McQuaid. So retailers purchase bulk products of all 60 books. So that's one stream of revenue is selling direct to retailers. Another stream of revenue is to sell on Amazon. I make thousands of dollars a month from book sales on Amazon, and I don't have to do anything. I've just uploaded it there, but I've marketed and I've drive traffic there. Another way of selling your books is for you to have a display and then you're selling direct to the consumer and you might throw in a freebie here or there. So that's just one element that we want to talk about. So now you have a course. When you are printing your book, you want to make sure that you're including your website and that you include it at the end of every chapter. Don't save it all the way to the end of the book. Raise your hand if you've ever bought a book and read every book that you've ever bought 100% to the end of the book. Anyone? Debbie, you've read every book to the end? Oh my God, you guys are so good. I have millions of books. I love books. I'm one of those people who just, you love to buy books. I'm an avid reader, but have I read every single book all the way to the end 100%? The answer is no. Sometimes I, even get into the book and then you're like, nah, it's not that great, or I'll read it later and then later never comes. But what you want to do is make sure that you are putting information even right at the beginning, in the prefix. You might say, oh, and you can learn more at, and then put your website in there when they go to your website. And a smart thing to do is get the name of your book should also be a domain. I have multiple domain names in my business, GoDaddy. That's why they love me. I just keep buying domain names. But so, for example, teachmusicchangelivescom, easy to say, easy to spell, and that's where I can send them directly. So now we're going to talk about that course. You don't need to write another book. You simply need to read your own book and think, how could I put this into a course program? So the course that I've created, Music, Money, and Momentum, is $397, so say $400. And I don't have to do anything. I created the program. Anyone that comes into the book, that purchases the book, first thing is they know right inside the book, they get a free 60-page workbook that doesn't cost them anything, that correlates to the book. So they can do that. So they work through that. And then within that is the offer to learn more and they can get the course. So does this make sense? Am I making sense for you guys? A little wave of a hand here. Yes, Rose, Mark, you got me? Okay, great. So you want to just think about, how can I structure this application? So your turn. And again, this is an active thing. I want you guys to be participating here. what could become a course module in your book? Just share something in the chat, right? What could be something that you could see? Okay, Gloria, I kind of like your idea. I'm writing a book about animals. I could do a coloring book. That could be my freebie. But now I just asking you about the course. What do you think you could create as an author? Because this is where you're truly becoming a business, right? A lot of people, I work with Jack Canfield, Chicken Soup for the Soul. He endorsed my book, did a TV show with Jack. There's a lot of things, and we're going to be talking about that as well. But right now, we want to think about what is something that you could do. Okay, I'm going to talk to Debbie. So, teaching children pet care. Oh my God, Debbie, I love you. Like, how sweet is that? How sweet is that? So, as a parent, I'm in, because when we teach children how to be kind to pets, it's also going to follow through with them at school if there's a bully at school, and they're going to learn these lessons, right? And then Dora Jane says, how would you do that for fiction, romance, or mysteries? Okay, that is really a cool question, right? So I think one of the things that would be fun is to take the elements of your book, Dora Jane, I hope I'm pronouncing your name correctly, is to take the elements of your book and maybe enhance it by inviting them to create maybe a little different road, so that they're almost creating their own adventure. So if you've got characters in there, you might say within your course is, now it's time for you to be creative. Do you want them to go this way, or do you think they should go this way? And I've actually seen that before, and it's pretty cool idea. So this is a great concept. And I know, Dora Jane, you've got an amazing accountability group here. And it would be something that you guys should network about when you go into your breakout rooms. And Kimberly was just saying, hey guys, we've got this extra room for a little more time after we meet. Brainstorm those ideas, because that's a really good one. I like that a lot. How about nonfiction? Women warriors. Oh, yeah. The hidden spies of World War II. That is a really good one, Donna. And I think, too, again, we want to have creativity, because so often people will not read to the end. And if you can create a course or a program that goes with your book, that's where you're going to see how many books do you have to sell to make $400 profit. ROI is return on investment. You have all invested. You've invested in being part of an organization, working with editors, working with book designers. Like, we've all spent money creating books. Now it's time to make money. So that's just one idea, right? Turn, your book into a course that people could consume. So a little action step for you is to just think about that, right? What is one core lesson? And again, you don't have to write this monster course, but just think of one lesson from your book that could turn a module into, one of your chapters. So just when I think I saw, let me back up here, um, about the spies, I just saw that something, nonfiction. Oh, women warriors. Okay, the hidden space spies of World War II. So when I'm looking at that, I'm thinking I could take a module from your book and turn that into a course. And I haven't read the book yet, but just, you have a great title, by the way, Donna. And I think it would be an interesting adventure, because we always want to help people feel something, learn something, and grow. And when you kind of create your own adventure, or maybe even go deeper, sometimes it's cool to just share stuff that you didn't put into the book, but you still feel that those are important facts that people should learn about. So anyway, just an idea for your consideration. Hopefully that's making sense for you guys. Okay, I think there was one other one that I saw in here. Rose said, I wrote creating microclimates in high desert gardens. Ooh, that is so good, Rose. NS, New Mexico SU School of Agriculture had me create a video training module, which they made mandatory training. Nice, for the Master Gardeners program in New Mexico. Congratulations. That is awesome, Rose. Now, here's my question for you. So they had me create a video training module. Um, and I hope they paid you big money for that, Rose. Where is Rose on the screen here?
I'm
Or is
here.
she not?
Do
Oh,
you
you're
see
there.
me?
Okay. Yeah, I do. Thank you. Did
Okay.
they pay you big bucks for that?
Um, because I'm a board member with the Master Gardeners myself, I
Yeah,
didn't get the money there. However, my book
yeah,
sales did go quite a bit up on that
yeah,
one.
yeah. And
So,
I here's what I would suggest is I would take the course that you created for them. You might want to tweak it a little bit so it's your own something, but then you want to tag that into the back end of your book. And if you have a domain already where people can go and buy it and click there and go to Amazon or whatever, I would and I'm going to share with you, in a little bit. If you go to teachmusicchange.lives.com, you'll see my book there. You can click there and you can buy the book, right? It goes to Amazon or whatever. And then below that, you'll see there's another video that says, hey, here's a course I created. Click here to learn more. So I put them both on the same page. In addition to that, it also says, by the way, you can get a free 60-page workbook. Buy the book, Teach Music Change Lives, and then get the freebie. Now, you don't have to buy the book, but if you download the 60-page free workbook that goes with the book, it doesn't really mean anything if you don't buy the book, right? So they're going to want to buy the book. So just like a little bit of thought there. Okay, strategy number 2. I want to be mindful of my time. I talk a lot. You know how sometimes you watch a video and you have to speed it up because like they talk so slow and you're like, come on, get on with it. For me, you got to like slow it down, Glory. All right, strategy number 2, and don't hesitate to wave if I'm going too fast. Strategy number 2, connect with media. Okay, so strategy number 1 was create a course. Strategy number 2 is connect with media. Visibility multiplies value. Visibility sells visibility. Uh, Books don't sell themselves. People sell them. And we need to be visible in order to do that. So here's how to get visible. Um, Obviously, media appearances. Uh, I would go after podcasts. I'm here right now. I'm on tour across Canada presenting workshops from coast to coast in retailers that carry my products. And while I am here selling my books, so first of all, I had received purchase orders from Long and McQuaid all across Canada. So I've already made money and I haven't even presented yet. When I get here, I present on my books, people buy my books, and then I sell them into my high ticket offer, which is another conversation in a minute. But the point is that you want to be in front of people and not just sell books, but remember you want to be selling your course as well when you're doing that. And while I'm on a book tour, I am also doing media appearances. So today, was it today? My day has been so full of back to back. I think it was today. I was doing a podcast. So make sure that you have your one page and that you send it out to podcasts. When I do podcasts, I look at their podcast and think, is this an audience for me? So where I look for is business because I teach about business. I look for music. I look for education. I look for entrepreneurs. So these are kind of the markets where I would look to see how can I be a guest on a podcast. If you're not a fan of podcasts, go after them anyway, right? So that you start to be there. There's also online shows, right? There's YouTube videos. There's TV segments. There's social platforms such as Instagram, TikTok, LinkedIn, YouTube. Make sure that you have created a LinkedIn account. Just maybe give me a little Y or yes in the chat if you do have a LinkedIn account. If and it's free, it doesn't even cost you anything, but you need to be there because when people look for Glory Saint Germain and they go on LinkedIn, as a matter of fact, I just did a TEDx talk at Queens U. I'll talk about that in a second. And they actually invited me to speak at their event. Normally, when you do TEDx talks, you apply, you apply, you apply. You have to go through a whole process to see if they will accept your talk. And half the time they don't. You could apply 100 times and never get a TEDx talk. I was blessed that they invited me, but it's because my LinkedIn account, I've already done a couple of TEDx talks. And so they could already see and know a lot about me. And she said, oh my God, you're going to be perfect for this. I still, was interviewed by them because that is their process, but it was their invitation. And you need to make sure you have a solid LinkedIn account because you're a professional, you're an author, right? LinkedIn, also your Facebook. If you go to my Facebook page, my personal page, you will see that And immediately you'll see Teach Music, Change Life. Oh, she's a professional author. So these are important things. Sometimes when I look at someone's Facebook page, they're showing a couple of pictures of their grandkids, and I say, but people are looking, yeah, but that's personal. I go, nope. If you are an author and a business owner, which is what all of you are because you're authors, you need to show a professional front. If you want to just have fun with like kids, then text them or send them a little message or call them, whatever. But you still need to know that your professional representation needs to be there. You should, on your Facebook, you should have your book with you showing and also a little link on how to get it. If you go to my Facebook page, Glory St. Germain, you will see my header, which says Teach Music, Change Lives. When you click on my header, it opens up on the right-hand side with a link so you can buy the book. All of you should do that. It's free. It doesn't cost you anything, right? So just a couple of little tips for you guys. Weekly book moments. Okay, another thing that you can do is on YouTube, you can do, if you don't have a YouTube channel, again, it's free. Get started, put a big header up there with your book and all the other things. And you might do a weekly reading. And you could just share, one little tidbit about your spooky, scary story or the microclimates in the high desert gardens. Like that is like, I want to go read that book, Rosemary. That just sounds so cool. And so you want to tell a little bit of the story. You could read directly from your book and then say, but now I want to tell you a little secret that's not in the book. Okay, now I'm going to lean in. What's the secret, Rosemary? Like, what didn't you write? And I want to hear the story. So this causes curiosity. And then you could also say, by the way, when you buy my book, you can go to whatever the name of your website is, in my case, teachmusicchangelivescom, and you can download the free 60-page book where you'll find even more, behind the scenes stories. So you're starting to build that, right? So you could do that once a week. Book moments, reading a passage, sharing a story. People love the behind the scenes stuff, right? They're always so curious. And these performance moments that are broadcast, these create authority, right? And they build connection with your readers. And that's how you get your super fans, right? So I see there's a couple of comments here, so I'm going to click so I don't know. How about an anthology of creative nonfiction spanning military child stories? Yeah, that's so good, Mark. That is so good. Oh, hi, Leonie. She's here. She made it. Okay, Mark, it needs to be updated. Yeah, and sometimes we do, right? We just need to go and update our books. All right, and so proof from my path. So I wanted to share with you as a coach. I work as an educator's business coach, and when I'm teaching, it's what I teach is what I've done myself. So everything that I'm trying to help you guys with, been there, done that. So a little bit about the things that I'm sharing with you. Recently, I received an award from Jack Canfield. I appeared on Success TV with Jack Canfield, and this show is airing across ABC, NBC, CBS, and Fox affiliates. It's coming out next month on February the 14th, and then I will be adding the ABC, NBC, CBS, Fox affiliates, etc., onto my website. This visibility builds name recognition and interest in your book. And when I was in Hollywood and doing this with Jack Canfield, he's such a nice person. I've done a lot of things with Jack recently, and he is just such a kind person. It was his 80th birthday, so it was kind of a cool event to be there with him. But when you think about creating weekly visibility habits, your one book moment per week, whether you're sharing, oh, I just did an event with, Jack Canfield or whoever, if you had speaking engagements, this is what starts to create your following. And they're like, oh, how did that go? Or make sure that you're announcing things before they come up. I'm announcing, oh, I just did a TEDx at Queen's U. Those videos won't be on YouTube until probably March or April, but I can already talk about it to build that momentum. When your book is, coming out in like 3 months, start talking about it. Don't wait until your book is out. Talk about it now. Coming soon. Can't wait. Behind the scenes, take pictures of yourself writing, 3 o'clock in the morning with your pajamas on, still writing, but it's going well, because people love that. And when you create a weekly visibility habit, it's going to start that momentum, right? One book momentum per week. 1 moment. That's all it takes. So a little quick tip here. You want to schedule 1 weekly social moment, 1 a week. You can do more if you want to. I'm curious, how many of you, just give me a little yes in the chat, if you do social media posts weekly? A little yes in the chat would be awesome. No one does any social media, or are you guys just typing slowly? Okay, I got some yeses. LinkedIn, awesome. LinkedIn is the place to be for sure. We've got some yeses in here. Okay, because these are really important. I know they take time, but it's an important thing to do. And it's just once a week. Here's what I do sometimes. I use different platforms. Donna says, yes, thank you. So very often, okay, and I'm really telling you backstage secrets. So you can see me now, right? Okay, today I'm wearing my blue um, t-shirt underneath my black jacket. So this is the color of my book, right? So I'm doing my branding colors. And so when I did my course, Teach Music, Change Lives, I made sure that I was always wearing branding colors. I've also sometimes created a series of maybe 10 videos. I might shoot them all on StreamYard and then upload them to YouTube and LinkedIn and all other places. And sometimes I'll shoot an entire series wearing exactly the same thing. You know, it's a girl thing. We got to do our hair. This is what doing your hair looks like, by the way. I know. Don't judge. But I think it's important for you to choose your branding colors and then make sure that you're locked into those. So if you look at any of the images that I have for branding, you will see 3 things. You will see the picture that Kimberly Rose showed at the beginning, me in a black and white jacket. If you go on my YouTube channel, you'll see me in a red leather jacket. And if you look at Teach Music, Change Lives, you in fact will see me in this t-shirt right here. That's it. Those are my branding colors. I don't wear orange or, you know, bright yellow, or that. Those are not my branding colors. It doesn't mean I don't like those colors. It doesn't mean I don't have them in my closet, but you want to be branded as the expert. So you don't want to look like anyone else. How do you know this is Glory? Well, Glory, yeah, she's wearing blue or red leather jacket, or she's wearing her black and white jacket. Glory has long blonde hair. I don't wear it in a ponytail. I wear it down. People know that's what I look like, right? So I just want to help you put your branding in place so that people recognize you. Now I see Jim right now, but it's just a picture of him. Do you see how he's got a hat that he's wearing on his picture? If you guys can see the screen. I love that hat, Jim. And if you are doing branding for yourself, I don't know if you just wore that hat for that one-time picture, but I think it's a great picture. And I would put that as my branding picture all day long.
It
If
is.
you, it is it, Jim?
Yep.
I
Yep. I have
love,
a Hemingway shot like that.
I love it. Gold star for you 5 times. That is brilliant because you instantly recognize Jim. Oh, I love the hat. That's Jim. I know who he is. I recognize him. That picture that Jim has should be on your LinkedIn, should be on your YouTube channel if you have one, should be on your Facebook channel. It might even be on the back of your book. I don't happen to have my book handy here, but if you look at teachmusicchangelivescom and you'll see the back of the book, that is the picture that Kimberly Rose showed when she was doing my intro. That's my brand. So we really want to think about branding. It's not just about being an author. You're a business. You want to be a personality that people recognize. So anyway, back to our regular programming. Okay. So when we're doing our little 60 seconds, you could do your favorite chapter. You want to tell a story behind the story. People love that. Tell the story behind the story. As I was writing my book, Teach Music, Change Lives, took me 3 years to write the book. And my husband, Ray, has passed away. He passed away a year and a half ago. And he and I were, we were partners. He was the entertainer in the family. I was the producer, right? I'm an author. I'm an educator. I'm also a producer, television shows, and all of this. I produced the overseas Christmas tour for the Canadian Armed Forces. And I was the first person ever out of Winnipeg, Manitoba, to be a producer for the Canadian Armed Forces tour. So it was a big deal. And I was really proud of that. When I got to chapter 10 in writing my book, it's 12 chapters, my husband passed away. And it took me back to like, well, now what? I had to write about it because he was woven into the story of the book. And since working with Jack Canfield, he's very much a storyteller, Chicken Soup for the Soul and multiple other ones, right? But you need to tell stories and also then have some impact and meaning and what's the takeaway for your reader. So I had to write about him. And I did also later at the end of the book, I did a little bit of a here's the story behind the story, right? And so when I was working with my book writing coach, I was telling her about the story that happened after Ray passed away. And she said, oh, don't just put that's another story. She said, I know I wrote that in chapter 10, but she said, then go and tell the story later. So if you guys are interested and curious about what happened, you have to read to the end of the book to find out. Okay, so also you want to share a question of how your book helps people. You know, sometimes if your book is strictly for entertainment purposes, then you might want to say, you know, when you just want to clear your mind, you don't want to think about anything else that you need to do. You just want to have some life and have an adventure without leaving the comfort of your home. This is the book for you. It's going to be an adventure. So, whatever your book is about, get people excited about reading it, create curiosity. It's not just, here's my book, buy it, right? We want to make sure we're thinking. That's not promotion, that's contribution to the writer. We all know AI. We're that's great. Everybody uses it, and that's cool too. But we still want to connect human to human when we're reading or telling a story. You know, I mean, I could go and type in AI, can you tell me a story? And they'd go, yeah, okay, once upon a time, tell me a story. But when I talked to Leonie, who's my friend, who's also in our program with Steve Harrison, you know, her and I are like, oh, did you know what happened yesterday? I could tell you about what happened to me. Okay, short glory story. I was traveling from Las Vegas to Vancouver, Vancouver to Toronto, Toronto to Kingston because I'm doing a TEDx talk. You guys all with me? All right. So, surprise, I get to Toronto. I booked all this online, used my air points, the whole thing. My flight is booked. I get to Toronto. I said, oh, where's the flight like to Kingston? And the guy's like, oh, just kidding. You're taking a bus. Taking a bus. I sat on a bus. I froze my little butt ski off for 3 hours going from Toronto to Kingston. There's more to the story. But the point is that it's way more fun because you can relate to me freezing my butt off on a bus when I thought I was going to be on a plane. So these are the fun stories, and sometimes they're real, right? The real stories that happen are always funnier than the ones that we just make up. But anyway, all right, number 3. I hope I'm still good for time. I'll talk fast. Strategy number 3 is conduct a talk. Conduct a talk. So I'm going to give you a few examples here. A TEDx, you could do a TEDx talk. You could do a keynote talk. You could do a talk at a local library. So there's different levels of talks, right? Your book is a signature talk that's waiting to happen. And this one doesn't matter what your title is called. Every book on planet Earth has an opportunity to become a talk. So I want to give you a few examples. This is where your book becomes your signature message. Speaking is the highest leverage channel for selling books, number 1, selling courses, booking future work, generating revenue through event fees. So think about doing a TEDx talk. So when you do a TEDx talk, you can't sell anything, right? But for those of you that watch my TED talk when it comes out, and I think she said it'll be about 3 months, January, February, March, probably April, I'm guessing. Do you remember the name of my book? Anybody? I've been talking about it enough. No one? I got no one?
Teach music, change lives.
Thank you. Teach music, change lives. When you watch my TEDx talk, you will see how I have carefully woven in when I talk about educators, and this is a quote from my TED talk. I said, educators, teach music, change lives, bring education back into the classroom. So I just put those 4 words in there. I didn't sell my book, but the words are there. And so you want to think about how can you talk about things and weave them in. And if you haven't done a TED talk, I highly invite you to explore that. Apply your expertise to a TED Talk. My expertise in that, I've done 3 TED Talks, but this one I talked about the power of music and how music changes lives and how we couldn't even live without music. I mean, can you imagine that? It would be weird. Can you imagine watching a movie, absolutely no music? It wouldn't be scary and it wouldn't be funny. It wouldn't be anything. It wouldn't be romantic, right? So that was what my TED Talk was about. Okay, next is when we look at this, it's my 3rd TED Talk. It was the largest TEDx in Canada at Queen's U. And a TEDx talk, it's not a speech, right? But what happens when you do a TED Talk, and in this particular case for me, it positioned me as the voice behind the power of music to change lives. That credibility for you creates a ripple effect into book sales, into course enrollments, into coaching opportunities. Reach out, explore TEDx opportunities. Now, when you're looking at doing a TEDx, you want to look at what is their theme. And the theme for TEDx at Queen's U this year was called Orchestrate. Orchestrate. And they had little music notes on there. So obviously it was a good fit for me. I got to close the show. I was the last and final speaker. I received a standing ovation. And that doesn't happen by chance. It happens because I really worked for months and months, rehearsing, like probably over 200 times, if probably 300. I don't know. I didn't really count. But it was every day. I rehearsed 5 times every day, locked it in 5 times. But it's worth it because then you have that credibility. The second one that you can do is a keynote talk. A keynote talk is when you apply your expertise to conduct a keynote at an industry event. Each of you can take your book and create a keynote talk around it. It doesn't matter what your topic is, from puppy dogs to writing about something in the military to writing about something scary because it's a mystery. Whatever it might be, you have something that you can teach. When you do a keynote talk, you make approximately $5,000 to $50,000 for a 1-hour keynote. So my fee to do a keynote is $15,000. But again, it's work, but I'm just saying that if I wasn't an author, I couldn't, go and tag that in there. When you craft your keynote around your book's central theme, then you get to offer them your keynote talks, and they could also sell your book, make it available for sale at the event. Or if you're doing a keynote talk, I'm just making something up here, say at a corporation, and they might say, you know what, Leonie, not only do I want you to do your keynote, I'm happy to pay you $15,000. We'd also like to add, we have 1,000 people here. We'd also like to have each of our attendees as a gift receive your book. Leonie, would that be okay? And you'd say yes. And, I'm going to give you a discount. I'll give you 40% discount for 1,000 books. So this is how you're thinking as a business, right? There's multiple ways. Speak at industry events that resonate with the concepts from your book. That is applicable for all industries. And most importantly, you want to follow up with programs or coaching. Like there has to be something else that you can do. Speaking really fuels impact for you as a professional writer and author, but it also generates revenue. I am proud to say, yeah, I've made millions of dollars selling books and on my courses. And I've been doing this for a minute, but if I can do it, anybody can do it. It's just a matter of implementing these strategies, right? So, volunteer events, talks, readings, etc. Yeah, Mark, that's awesome. Free until known. Well, there's always going to be some elements of free, but I think, Mark, you're all professional writers. And we can only do free for so long. You want to know at the end of the day. So I will share a little, and thank you, Mark, for putting that in the chat. Because here's the thing. If you are speaking at an event, then and if it's free, then you need to be able to offer something for sale. I'm going to give you an example. I was speaking at Long and McQuaid events, right, across Canada here. And they've already purchased books from me. Like they did a purchase order. The books were shipped out from my warehouse. My team deals with that. So they have all the books there. Now I'm doing a workshop on Ultimate Music Theory books. So they're purchasing books from Long and McQuaid. So Long and McQuaid is making money because I'm speaking. But part of my deal is, yes, I'm there to talk about the books, but I'm also going to offer my course. So my course, my Ultimate Music Theory certification course, is $5,000. So then I offer a small discount to people that are there to say, oh, by the way, while you're here and only today, you're going to get, an extra $1,000 off the course or whatever it is. And so today only you can get it for 4,000 instead of 5,000. So I make money on selling my books, but then I also make money on the certification course. So that's another level of course. I also have the little course that goes with my book, which is 400, but I also have a high level certification. So just helping you kind of think. So it's a good question, Mark. If you're going to be volunteering and speaking at an event or doing readings, you absolutely have to be making money. They need to pay you to be there, or you need to be able to offer your book and a course. Like, you have to make money doing this. I mean, otherwise it's a hobby. And if it's your hobby, well, then cool. Then you must be already making millions of dollars from something else, right? So speaking at industry events. Okay. Final thing that I wanted to share with you is kind of putting these three together. I want to do a little bit of a pause because I want to make sure to have some time to answer your questions. But I also wanted to just give you a few answers to questions that I'm asked frequently. In the meantime, if you have questions, just throw them into the chat here. Some of the questions on implementing these strategies, your thoughts on which strategy, these are what I'm asking you guys. What are your thoughts on which strategy you want to start first, right? Or what is your biggest challenge that you're facing right now in monetizing your work? Some of the questions that I get asked are, do I need a large audience to monetize my book? And the answer is no, you don't need a large audience. You need clarity and you need alignment, not size. Small, focused audience convert beautifully. I remember I was on a book tour once, and I was doing a workshop. This is in the States. I think it was for Music and Arts or Guitar Center or one of those. And I did 5 workshops in 2 days. So I would do a workshop in the morning, then I would drive, then I'd do another location, then I would drive at night, do another 3 workshops, 1 in the morning, 1 in the afternoon, 1 in the evening at different locations. So it was a lot of driving, setting up, doing all of these. The very, very last one I did, the 5th one I did, I was exhausted, but let's just wrap it up. And I'm a good closer. I know how to present an offer that resonates with my audience. And so your close rate, if you have 10 people, your close rate might be, whatever, 10%. You got one person signing up. If 20%, 30%, that's a good close if you've got 30% close rate. So my son said, so Mom, how did it go? And I said, I closed 100% of the room. And that is unheard of. Like, nobody closes 100% of the room. Like, he said, I know you're good, but you're not. Like, that's impossible. How did you? Then he went, wait a minute. How many people were there? How many people showed up for your last event? One teacher. That one teacher bought all my books and she signed up for my course. And that was a big win. So I show up whether there's one person in the room or 50 or 100 or 300. And so you don't need a large audience. You just need one person to show up, but you need to make sure that you're presenting your offer, right? Another question I get asked is, should I build the course before or after the book is published? And the answer is either one works, right? Many authors create a course from the book, which actually simplifies the process because you've already written the book. But either way works, right? Another question I get asked is, what if I don't see myself as a speaker? So if you've really never really done a lot of speaking, you're more of a write by myself in my room and then just publish a book. You want to start small, but you want to step outside that comfort zone. The only way that we can grow is by putting ourselves in that uncomfortable position and then going from there, right? Self-publishing is a great thing. I am not self-published. I own a publishing company. They're 2 different things, right? But you want to make sure that you're getting your book out there. And you can upload to Amazon, make money all day long. You can go to KDP. Their formatting is a little bit different. And it's also just a note, you guys probably already know this, but if you upload to Amazon and you want to sell retail, and if you're going into KDP, then your retail can go on KDP, but you can't have retail on KDP and on Amazon. That's not allowed. So you need to pick one. So KDP is where all my books are available for retailers such as Barnes and Noble and, you know, all that stuff. And on Amazon is only direct to consumer. So you pay full retail price. There's no discounts. There's no anything like that. So hopefully that makes sense. So yeah, confidence. So, you know, jump out there, be a speaker, right? Start small, but confidence grows with clarity and repetition. Just do it again and again and again. You know, I wasn't born a speaker. I've worked at it and I continue to do so. And every time I go and do a talk, I am a very much prepared speaker. I work at it because I love it and I want to do a great job, right? And that comes by stepping into that. Last question that I had here was, what's the fastest strategy to start Monetize? The fastest strategy to make money, because we all know it costs money to write a book. You need to have a line editor. You need to have all kinds of editors go through the material. You need to design a book cover. You need to think about if you're going to have at the beginning, at the front of my book, I think I have maybe 6 pages of people that have written blurbs for the front of my book. And just ask, like, don't be afraid to ask. I've had some incredible people. If you happen to pick up a copy of Teach Music Change Lives and you look at the front and go, wow, you know, Marcy Shimhoff, Jack Canfield, like all these amazing people, you know, how did they land up writing in my book, Nick Nat and Nanton? So it's because I asked, right? So don't be afraid to ask. Fastest strategy to start monetizing. The fastest strategy for me would be 2 things that I would recommend. Number 1 is write a course. Don't hesitate, just do it. And the other thing is speaking engagements. Those 2 are going to make you a truckload of money. Do the math. If you are selling a course for or speaking for $5,000, how many books do you need to sell to make your $5,000? When we're in business, we talk about ROI, return on investment. When I invest in my coaches or in putting my book together, what do I have to do to sell a lot of books, but also that course on the back end is going to really help you monetize. And you want to leverage what you already know, and then you want to deliver results, right? So get your quickest return on that. So hopefully that's a few questions. Okay, I'm ready for questions. Anybody, you know, your book is not the finish line, right? Your book is the launch pad. I think that's an important way to think of it, right? So how are you going to launch your product? What are you going to do? Strategies are, you know, not necessarily needed for like the theory of it all, but they're the tested pathways to turn your passion into profit, which is what it is. Pages and profit, right? We all do that. Okay, I will check our chat here. Volunteer events free till now. Okay, biggest challenge comes from Mr. Mark Pryor, my ex. No, I'm just kidding. Mark Pryor. Mark. My biggest challenge is driving people to my website, blog, posts, and capturing their info. Okay, I am so happy you said that, Mark, because so first of all, Mark, I invite you to put your website in the chat here for me, if you could. And then he said, my book is not out yet, so hard to monetize. Okay, I enjoy your presenting, reading my and other works, though. Okay, cool. So this is a great question from Mark. So I'm going to read it again for those of you that are watching the replay. Mark said, the biggest challenge for him is driving people to my website, blog posts, etc., and capturing their info. Okay, so one of the things, and Mark is just going to put that in here. Okay, markpryorauthor.com. Good. So one of the things, and the reason I asked Mark to put his link in there, is that sometimes a problem is that we don't know how to spell the words, and it's complicated to share the words. So Mark, M-A-R-C, Pryor, P-R-Y, and obviously I'm spelling it wrong, but I'm making a point because sometimes that's going to make it difficult to say, to remember. I have, I don't know how many domains I have, probably 100. Each one of the domains that I have are a redirect to a certain page on my website. teachmusicchange.lives.com. When you go there, and then once you put in Teach Music Change Lives, and if you actually look at the URL, it will say ultimatemusicteachers.com/teach music change. Do you see what I mean? So I also have musicbusinessmastery.live. I also have myumt.com. I also have teachumt.com. I have umt.studio. The reason I'm sharing this with you is that each of those goes to a different thing. So, for example, if I'm going to be talking about my book and I'm doing a live event, and I would say, I want to read a little part of my book. I think you guys will find this really funny. You won't believe what happened to me. And then I will tell a little bit of the story, and then I'll read a little bit of the story. And I'll say, listen, you guys can go grab the book, teachmusicchange.lives.com, period. Everyone knows how to spell it, and it's easy to come off my tongue. If I'm doing a live event, such as the workshop that I'm doing right now, I just say, go to umt.studio. And if any of you go there, umt.studio, you will see my tour across Canada, the 4 cities that I'm in. And then I'm capturing your email and capturing your name, and you're registered, you're in my system. So when you're doing this, it's worth every penny. And sometimes if the website that you want is too expensive, so I'll give you an example. I did Tony Robbins, Business Mastery, $20,000 for 5 days with Tony Robbins. 20 grand, 5 days. But the 20,000 made me 100,000. So it was worth it. But businessmastery.com, that website was over $10,000. And I went, musicbusinessmastery.com. So I thought, well, I'm not going to pay like $10,000 for a domain. So I changed it to musicbusinessmastery.live. It was like $7. Just instead of saying it. So think of what can you use, right? That's easy to get off your tongue when you're doing a YouTube video. So the other thing that you could do, Mark, is that if you really are like, I definitely want to use markpryorauthor.com, definitely no more than 3 words in your domain. Don't do more than 3 words. It has to be easy to say, it has to be memorable, easy to remember, and easy to spell. Because I work with a lot of clients that are music educators. And when I see their domain, I say, Mark Fanschmidt is one of my clients. I said, Mark Fanschmidt, does anybody know how to spell Fanschmidt? Me neither. And I said, no one's going to remember how to spell that, Mark. Like it's even when you spell it for me, it's complicated. So he actually did change his domain. So it's something for you guys to consider. And then Joe Donahue, Joe Donahue.com is my website. It has resulted in over 200 signups in the month of December. That is so good, Dora Jane. So good. Congratulations. And the reason that your website did over 200 signups in the month of December is because you were driving traffic there. And that is the key. It's great to have a great website, but if you don't drive traffic there, then nobody is going to be even able to find you there, right? There's another Mark Pryor that is an author. Okay. So yeah, you want to think about that, Mark. Sometimes too, it's also recommended that whatever the name of your book is, that you get that domain as well. I see, Mark, that's why you did. Oh, and he's an author as well. So you went markpryorauthor.com. Yeah. Okay. The book funnel, speaking at writer clubs. Yeah. Nursing groups. That's so good. That is so good. And every time that you go there, you want to make sure, and this is the other thing, I haven't been to Dora Jane's website, but whenever you do send people to your website, you want to make sure above the fold, as it's called, where you are offering them something for free. If you go to ultimatemusictheory.com, you will see I give you a lot of free stuff. If you go to ultimatemusicteachers.com, there's also a lot of free stuff, right? So I'm going to give you something. It's a gift, but if you want it, you got to give me your name and email. I want to know like who it is, right? So good job on that one. You want to do that. Okay, I hope I haven't gone too far over my time here. I'm going to throw it back to, oh, they've all left. No, just kidding. Kimberly, I'm like, Kimberly, Rose, they all left me. So Kimberly, I don't know if there's any other questions that you had for me. but hopefully I have served you in some way.
That was a
Yes, you're welcome.
fantastic presentation. I know I only speak for myself, but I learned a lot,
Oh,
and
good.
you were a delight to listen to.
Oh,
Do we
thank
have
you.
any other questions from anybody else? Cool. Well, if there are no other questions, I'll return everyone's evening to yourselves. Thank you again so much, Glory.